Hello guys, welcome back to yet another video. Now today we are going to talk about the Dragon Ball Super English dub and Goku's character throughout the Universe Survival arc. Now obviously the Universe Survival arc, that doesn't have an official English dub yet by Funimation, so this is going to be a bit of a prediction video, and as we know throughout the Super dub, Goku sounds a bit like a surfer dude, and that stems from the fact that in the original Japanese, Masako Nozawa, she has a dialect that is very much hick, because Goku is a character that is a country bumpkin, like he's just from the country. He's not a city person, basically, and that reflects Toriyama, actually, because Toriyama growing up, he wasn't really a city person, he was more of a country person. He went out into the woods and did all of that kind of stuff, very similar to Goku, so you could consider Goku an author surrogate. I mention all of that in a author surrogate video that I did in the description below. Please go check that out. But anyway, Masako Nozawa, she has that dialect, so it's very interesting that the Goku in the English dub has tried to reflect that as well. Now, obviously, a country person from America, that would sound like, like someone from Red Dead Redemption, so it really doesn't translate well into English, so the English dub has a more surfer dude accent. On today's video, I'm here with MJxTV, and we're going to basically discuss how that might change in the Universe Survival arc. So please say hello.
Hello, man, and you basically did the whole video without me. No, I'm just kidding. But
2 minutes in, bro.
2 minutes in. Thank you for having me on the Frozen Particle channel. It's always a pleasure to make a video with you. You're one of the longest people that I've known on the interweb, so it's always fun.
Yeah, of course, man. Well, first of all, first question is, how do you think Goku will be handled in the English dub in terms of the dialect, in terms of the tone of his voice in the Universe Survival arc? Because the Universe Survival arc carries a pretty heavy tone throughout. I mean, so did the Future Trunks arc, but Goku in the Future Trunks arc, he was a wacky guy, but throughout the Universe Survival arc, he does grow some seriousness, much like, the End of Z counterpart of Goku, and also in, well, Dragon Ball Z in general. Goku was rather serious at points. So, yeah, how do you think he will be in the Universe Survival arc?
Well, to reiterate what you mentioned about the Future Trunks arc is that, yeah, he was very goofy, and Nozawa played it up perfectly. Nothing against the performance of Nozawa, but it's just at times the character became kind of annoying, and it was like his traits were exaggerated, you know what I mean? And I feel like that was a problem. Now, the dub was a bit easier on this, however, there's plot points that make this feel like him forgetting the sensu beans, and him just kind of like in Zamasi's face, not wanting to get out of his face to fight him. So whether Sean Schemmel tried to do a better job or not is kind of out of the question, because there was plot points that were there to make Goku seem a bit kind of annoying, and that's kind of gone, in my opinion, in the Universe Survival arc. Even though the Universe Survival arc doesn't have an actual main villain or a main bad guy, the tonal shift of that arc is pretty much there, and I'm pretty sure the reason why that is because since there's no villain, you have to rely on the atmosphere of the show, and Nozawa covers Goku amazing. I think the first episode is evidence of that, episode 77, where Goku and Beerus have that standoff, and Goku's just so serious about it, you know what I mean? And he doesn't come off as, even though he does have his goofy moments, he does not come off as that annoying like character, and he just says a lot of stuff that is like the Goku we know of the End of Z, or in the Cell arc and stuff. He comes off very serious and nonchalant about stuff, and I think that plays a big part in helping the Universe Survival arc. And if I was a betting man, even though I would probably say Sean's still going to have some dudes in some of the minor episodes, I feel like he's going to take this arc a bit more serious, because we do know that he's a fan of Nozawa and that he, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like he would try to pattern that atmosphere and try to match it. The same with Vegeta too. Vegeta's very serious in that arc as well. Even though there was the episode with Brawl and stuff, for the majority of the actual rest of the arc, he has his arms crossed. He takes everything kind of seriously throughout the rest of the arc,
Yeah, and it's quite interesting, to look back at Dragon Ball Super as a whole and Nozawa's performance throughout that. I'm not saying Sean Schemmel, like, he doesn't necessarily reflect or, like, copy Nozawa at all, but he does add his own touch while still keeping in, like, that sort of semi-serious but kind of joking nature at the same time that Nozawa does as well. So it's going to be quite interesting how Goku is tackled by Funimation in the Universe Survival arc, and now, as we know that, like, Sean Schemmel, while, you know, he's just a voice actor, he does have a bit of clout in Funimation and the company, and, you know, so he can sort of pull strings, not necessarily change entire scripts, but he knows his character enough, so, like, he can make, like, maybe, like, one like executive decision like per like series, you know, like, so like he does have clout, he does have quite a lot of decisions for the character, but it's really up to the director at the end of the day. So it's honestly what Chris Sabat need, like what he wants the tone to be, and I honestly think he'll reflect the Japanese. So yeah, like the Universe Survival, like very heavy tones, and obviously you know, the implications of, you know, this entire universe will be erased if, you know, the Universe 7, you know, fails. They, you know, get eliminated. That's it. That's done. And of course that wasn't the case. You know, we knew quite a lot during the arc that, you know, Universe 7 would survive because end of Z. But anyway, yeah, like, so there's heavy implications for this main cast. So I think the dub will recognize that, and Chris Sabat will handle that, and I honestly think that, like, the hardcore Dragon Ball fans, or like the purest Dragon Ball fans, they don't give Chris Sabat enough credit, because he does know a lot about Dragon Ball. He's not going to screw things up intentionally. We are not back to the 90s dub where everything was a joke, everything was a meme, and yes, there are memes and jokes and meta references in Dragon Ball Super, and sometimes they are misplaced, like Super Saiyan Please was a line, and, you know, that was with that was in a very serious scene with Beerus about to destroy the Earth, and then like Goku's like, Super Saiyan please, or Super Saiyan please, like trying to get a wish from the Dragon Balls. Some of that was out of place, but knowing the stakes of the Universe Survival arc, and knowing how it's such an epic story, and that was when Dragon Ball Super hit its peak, was in the Universe Survival arc. I think Funimation will recognize that, and also in the promotion for the Universe Survival arc, you know, they are taking it seriously. This is not like a lighthearted adventure. This is like the stake, like the stakes are high on this one. You know, the universe will be destroyed. That's what, you know, has been promoted to us on Funimation's Twitter. So they do recognize that the stakes are high, and I honestly think Goku's character will reflect the stakes, and there'll not be, you know, as much meme humor as there was, and Goku will not be so silly, I guess, as Nozawa and the Japanese treated, you know, Goku's character, basically.
Now, while the Universe Survival arc, I guess, does have its goofy moments for Goku, it still doesn't have plot points that kind of make him stupid or render him annoying. So I feel like the fact that that's not there, and in the atmosphere of this arc, the total shift, which you probably have to give credit to the Future Trunks arc for. The Future Trunks arc created an atmosphere that lasted throughout the rest of Super. It was kind of the shift that Super needed, you know what I'm saying? It kind of gave, it breathed life back into the show, you know? And that reflected onto Super in its last arc. And I feel like that has to happen in the dub, in my opinion, because one big point of Goku being the way he was in this arc is something I've been wanting to make a video on. I just haven't really covered it yet. And that was Goku's character, because in that arc, there's a lot of like little hints to End of Z. I'm not too sure if you ever really picked up on this, but there's lines about ooh, and then there's a line where Popo says that Popo, I believe, says something along the lines of, "You've been so interested in other fighters from other universes, you forgot what's right here on Earth." And then Goku has to, you know, he takes this stuff very seriously. He listens to Dende. He'll find this kid in the future and train him. He then goes meet 17. He has a good little fight with 17, and again, a very serious, not like it wasn't a serious fight to the death, but it was still a very serious fight, you know what I mean, as far as like testing him. And
the subtext.
Yeah, and I feel like that plays an important part to Goku's character, all leading up to Gohan, where right before he fights Gohan, he says, "Hey, you know what? There's so many amazing people here on Earth. I just forgot about you." And then he goes and throws a punch at Gohan. And what I'm bringing up here is that I feel like Goku's character, I don't want to use the word progressed. I just feel like it was a reminder to what's on Earth and what can happen on Earth, which is what leads us into End of Z, where Goku's no longer out there to fight the Jiren. He's no longer out there to fight the Brolys, if we count the new trailer. He's no longer out there to fight the hits. What he is doing is he's training his son and he's training his granddaughter because they're homegrown from Earth. And I do appreciate what Universe Survival Arc did there. And I feel like with the atmosphere and the tonal shift, that kind of needs to be carried over to the dub for Sean Schemmel to reflect, because I feel like that's important to the story of trying to connect Super to Z.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, and in some ways the dub is more, like, quote-unquote serious than the Japanese. Like, it's serious in terms of, like, the badassery, like the yelling and the screaming and powering up, and then sometimes it's more silly with stuff like, Alliance good, nightmare to you, Super Saiyan please, fucking HFIO, stuff like that. So it's really weird, like, how, like, it can be very serious at points and very, like, dramatically, like, silly at some points. So I do agree that, like, as Goku's character ends off in the end of Dragon Ball Z and how his character evolves, I do think the dub will reflect that, because you gotta understand, man, like, this, like, and the people watching, we're not in the 90s Dragon Ball Z dubbing world anymore. We are in the Dragon Ball Super dubbing world, and even though Dragon Ball Super, the dub, isn't as good as Kai, to be honest, I mean, Kai was just pitch perfect, because I think Funimation had more to prove with Kai, and we've talked about that before. We actually have a 30-minute video up on your channel, Dragon Ball dub versus sub, where we basically just go through the entire franchise, I believe movies included, actually, so I urge you to go check that out. Links will be down below, as well as MJ's channel. That was a great video that we did, and it was just a 30-minute overview of the dub versus sub, but I think we've gotten to the point, and, like, in the video itself, most of the changes and most of the dialogue between us, like, that we talked about, was in the beginning. We didn't have a lot to talk about with Kai and Super because they are accurate. So I do think that the character of Goku will be less silly and will be more in line with the Japanese dub of the Universe Survival Arc, and I think that if you're worried about the meme humor and stuff, I think that while, yes, that might come into play in the more wackier episodes with Ribrianne and all of that stuff, I don't think it'll be basically an overbearing part of the arc. I think Funimation knows better. So basically, that's going to do it for us. Are there any more thoughts you want to say, MJ, before we get out of here?
No, just thank you for having me on the channel, man. It's always a pleasure to collaborate with you, my good old Aussie friend.
Good old Aussie friend. Well, thank you.
Don't punch any walls.
I won't, bro. But, yeah, that's going to do it for us. Please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. Go check out the dub versus sub overview, massive video that we did. Go check it out on MJ's channel. Also, subscribe to MJ, my Texan friend. That's going to do it for us. Please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye. I'm not going to fucking punch any holes, okay?